We're going to go through everything running form, and we're going to go through all the basics, and then also give you some pointers of things to be thinking about to how to improve your form, how to make you a more efficient runner, and also reduce your risks of injury. So first of all, it's worth understanding the different ways that we can contact the floor when we run. So there's kind of two extremes, okay? The first of which would be where we land with a massive heel strike. So when we're running, where our heel would hit the ground first, and then the opposite option where we run on the tips of our toes, okay? Both extremes, we can have something halfway between where we stomp and land flat underfoot as we run, okay? So it's worth understanding the different spectrum. We'll also talk about which different forms or what things in our body lead to those different things, but we really also want to understand what we should be aiming for as well. Okay? When we run, we should be aiming to land with a predominantly forefoot run, whereby about 80% of our force of our body is going through the front of our feet and our heels are lightly touching the ground behind us. Okay? This way we're going to use the muscles in our feet to absorb the impact of the ground and then spring us forwards, okay? Rather than just pounding the heel into the ground and then using our muscles to bring us the energy to get moving again. So by using the feet, we use then the calf muscle as well, and that helps us to absorb that impact and run much more efficiently, reducing the impact of each step into the ground, but also meaning that we've used less energy absorbing the impact. We've got more energy to run faster and forwards as well. Okay, so first of all, it's important to think about what leads to these different kind of strikes of the ground. If we were to stand up and kind of slump with our bum kind of sitting back and running with a bad posture, so imagine we're in this position here, and if we fall forwards, we will land with our heel taking that impact. So if I show you once again, we've got our bum back, almost replicating that position of sat at a desk all day. We're tired and we're running and we fall, we land with our heel, okay? Which is not what we want to do when we run. Instead, we want to stand up nice and tall. We want to try and push our hips forwards. And then in this position, if we fall forwards, we will fall onto the front of our foot, okay? Standing up tall, driving those hips forwards, landing onto the front of the foot, and that is the form, or that is the kind of contact we should be aspiring for. So like I said at the start, we're not aiming to land and run on the tips of our toes. This is going to be really excessive and waste a lot of energy from our calves, but instead we want to be landing with 80% of the force onto the front of the foot and our heel lightly touching the ground with each step, and that's going to help us to run much more efficiently and reduce that risk of injury. Okay, so do go for that exercise, like I said, standing up tall, falling forwards, and then ultimately taking that forwards into your run. Ultimately, running is just a controlled fall or a controlled lean, okay? So if you were to jog on the spot, and ultimately just try this at home, whether you're in shoes or not, we'll all jog on the spot well, and we'll all jog on the spot in the same way. We'll land through the front of the feet, and what you should be looking to do, like I said, get the heel to tap into the ground. And ultimately, this is good running form. When we move, when we run, we just want to take this form forwards. All we're doing, leaning into it and start traveling forwards, okay? When you start to get tired when you run, you'll find that's when your posture changes. You can't hold the hips forwards, you slump, and that's when you'll start pounding into the ground and leading with the heel, okay? So we want to be aware of what we're aspiring for with the feet, but we should understand that to achieve good contact, it's all done through those hips. Drive your hips forward. Imagine someone has got hold of your belt and they're pulling you up and forwards, and that's going to help drive you forwards in that really nice position. Okay? We also want to think about the number of steps we're taking, and this is called our cadence. So when we're running, we should be looking to take around about 180 steps per minute. Okay? So this is quite fast, and typically people who do a heel strike, like we just mentioned, will struggle to get that number of steps in. So if you have a low cadence, it might be an indicator that you want to think about your form and improve the way that you're contacting the ground. Most running watches will also count your cadence. You can have a look and use that to kind of measure how you're getting on over time. But if you want to improve your cadence, what I would suggest is go out on an easy run and listen to a metronome and set that metronome to maybe 175 or 180 and see if you can run to the beat of that metronome, and as a result it will reinforce running with a nice fast cadence. Running with a faster cadence means more steps, which means each step will be less aggressive on your body, taking less energy, reducing the risk of injury, and ultimately allowing you to run a little faster as well, for the same effort that is. Okay, there's more to running than just our hips and our feet. We also have an upper body as well. So what should we do with this upper body? First of all, we want to think about our elbows. We want to get to a 90-degree bend in the elbow, and then the movement should come from the shoulder. Nice and relaxed. We're not shrugging the shoulders, they're relaxed, and they're swinging, and our arms will always work opposite to those legs. So you're just keeping that 90-degree bend in the elbow and just relax. When you start doing your intervals, you'll push with more power through your arms, but ultimately always keeping 90 degrees in the elbows and trying to feel nice and relaxed. The other thing we want to think about with our upper body is a line going down the center of our body. Imagine the zipper of our coat. Okay, we don't want to let the arm come across that zipper of the coat. Instead, they can come into the middle, and you can see I'm still rotating in and back out, but we're not rotating across the body. Ultimately, when we run, we're not trying to go that way and that way and that way. We're trying to go directly forwards. So by driving the arms forwards, it will save our energy rather than wasting energy in the upper body twisting. We want to be facing where we're going and pumping those arms to help us get there. Okay. So ultimately then from there, you kind of understood these basics, you've practiced running on the spot, you've practiced running and thought about that contact, you're confident that you're getting 80% of the force going through the front of the foot, you're thinking about your arms, you just want to put it all together and basically go out on a run. So what I would suggest, put all of this together on an easy run. So your easy run, you're not thinking about your pace, and ultimately start your easy run, get the form nailed jogging on the spot, and just simply start moving forwards from there. Nothing changes whether we're going at a slow, easy jog or whether we're sprinting and nailing those intervals in terms of the contact. We should still always aim to have a strong cadence, and we should always aim to have a very similar contact with the floor. The only difference is when we go faster, we're going to be pulling our hamstrings up behind us more and having much bigger movement in at the hip, but our contact through the floor will still look very similar, and the rate of our steps should still be fast. Obviously, when we're doing those faster, harder sessions, we might speed the cadence up slightly, but the key is when we do those easy runs, we keep a fast cadence, we keep really nice, strong contact, and always thinking about the thing that drives everything with our form is our hips. Drive your hips forwards, and that will keep you running really nicely, reduce the risk of injury, and ultimately mean that you're able to enjoy your running going faster and longer for further.